Hi, everybody. Alright, so I found this awesome article from the Mises Institute. I think I've done something from this source before. That's the Australian Economic Freedom and Peace Institute, or whatever it actually is. Anyways, folks, they got a very great article saying, do video game worlds need government regulation? Well, truth be it, law enforcement has been involved in the larger, if not all, major video game worlds and servers since about 2000. I'm going to put it at about 2003, 2005. And I guarantee you, folks, there's probably hundreds and thousands of legislations and regulations thereof on this subject already on the books. Whether you're talking about distribution of funds through internet currencies, even from Facebook, whether you're talking about conversations that will go on between players on servers in like GTA or other things, I guarantee you, your locals, your federals already are monitoring it 24/7 in your area and everywhere else. Remember, if the system exists, folks, it exists because there are laws allowing it to. One of them is for these guys to eavesdrop. That's honestly what it is. I mean, back during Nova Logic's joint operations, you knew who the cop bot was. You knew who that person was because they'd come in, they'd act all screwed up in the head. Just like today, you know who the cop kids are and the ones who have permission to sit there and chat and act all fucking stupid so somebody can yell at them, blow up, and basically have a SWAT team sent to their house or something. And yet when you try to block them or something, they just start playing over you and stuff like, ha ha ha, I have the software, ha ha ha, my family's with the police, ha ha ha. So, it is what it is, folks. But you know those dorks when you see them in real life. You know them when you see them on the video games, and you know that there's already registered legislation on the books. So this idea that video games worlds need government regulation, they already have it, folks. If it is necessary, it's already been done. Okay? It's the same with any other technology. This one coming January 15, 2016. Ever since the computer game was introduced in 1962, video games have had an ever-expanding role and impact in society. In 2004, video games started earning more than Hollywood domestic box offices. With the expansion of the industry, new kinds of games have basically emerged. They're talking about MMOs, such as EVE Online. I have no idea, but I know various others I could drop, and you'd be like, oh my god, you're old. So I'm not going to go into that. But basically, folks, they dropped the idea that real-world currencies are exchanged. They need to regulate and implement policies into these virtual economies. Along with that, a lot of violence happens, a lot of name-calling. People are now able to track online accounts and confine people, and they need to be on top of the people who are able to do that. Instead, what they do is they basically harbor up ideas of people, and then they basically have those people who are doing less basically become the bad guys. But it is what it is. So they're basically talking about price controls, taxes, participation in in-game economies is ultimately a choice. Basically, they go from stock markets into buying groceries into off-grid stuff. I mentioned more than these guys are doing. They're talking about Second Life, EVE Online, Diablo 3. These virtual worlds contain players from many parts of the real world, and jurisdictions may be limited to virtual worlds contain players from many. Yep, okay. It's an international and global market. In addition, why should we assume that a third-party regulator would have better outcome than the developers of the game itself? Well, here's the situation, folks. These games are designed so that the police have backdoors into your system. Remember, just about every person on the planet is suspected of something. So they can use that, get access to your cable line, and then just sit and then harass you all day long. And yet, if you harass another player, it's a crime. So they can do this day in, day out, and to them it's legal until, you show up with buddies to their house and turn the tables on them and go, oh shit. And then that's even more of a crime, I imagine. But just like the guys are doing that crazy shit in Oregon are probably government insiders, I guarantee you, and that we'll probably never know officially, quote unquote, the government regulations have existed in these since they started noticing different people from different parts of the world can interact, can talk to one another, can do this, can do that. I mean, they're learning that ISIS guys are on first-person shooters talking to each other in those countries. Money can be exchanged freely with these online economies. I mean, there's so much to regulate, it's mind-boggling. So, if you were to told me when I was holding my first Mario Brothers that one day the police would be monitoring my console, I'd say, no, you're kidding me. There's no point. There's no reason. Well, there will be soon. Yeah, well, soon. But I remember online gaming going back to the 1990s when Jane's combat simulators were going on, and you'd be battling in the air and this and that, and you'd actually have to type in just... I think at one point there was like 2 pages of code that you had to actually know from DOS just to play one of the later versions of Jane's Combat Simulators. You had to type in your IRS or your IRIS or whatever it was for your gaming video card. And you had to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff just to get the game to actually work on the server. And then came Nova Logic, and they made it a lot simpler, except for it took almost a minute to load. Now video games load in like inside of 10 seconds. So it's amazing to know what's what and what's not what. So thank you guys.